a distribuidora exclusiva de Quest. Aqui podem ficar com os meus contactos, o meu e-mail e o meu telefone. Para caso a seguir ao webinar, se tenham alguma dúvida, queiram tenham interesse em conhecer mais sobre o produto ou alguma reunião diretamente com a Quest, podem me contactar e nós iremos ajudar-vos. Este webinar vem de encontro agora à realidade em que vivemos, em que cada vez estamos mais online e estamos cada vez mais vulneráveis a ataques cibernéticos. A Quest tem várias ferramentas que nos podem ajudar a prevenir e a recuperar destes ataques, e vamos ter aqui o César, que é um especialista da Quest, que vai então aqui explicar-nos como funcionam estas ferramentas. César, I will pass the word to you. I will stop sharing and you can start your presentation. Thank you very much for your help presenting the webinar.
Thank you for the introduction, Ricardo. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this web seminar. I'm going to share my screen. Let me. Okay, I think you are able to see the presentation right now. Okay.
Yes.
We are going to talk about the security, the new concept about the resilience, and how you can improve the security of your company in two different focus, in the on-premise environment and also in the hybrid environment, okay? Because right now companies are moving very fast to Office 365 or Azure AD. So most of the companies are right now in a hybrid scenario, okay? So in this presentation, I want to present you how Quest could help you to secure these environments with some specific tools, okay? And the options we have already is that the hybrid Microsoft environment is giving us new boundaries about how to secure the on-premise and the Office 365 environment, okay? For example, we have here some data about the ransomware hits every 11 seconds in most of the companies or the ADs or Azure ADs or even against Office 365. And if we don't secure our environments, we could have a ransomware or a malware in our environment, okay? For example, we have 95 million of AD accounts attack daily. This is a huge number, and we need to have prepared against this kind of attacks, okay? But also Microsoft suffers a lot of attacks against Azure AD. So we also need to be prepared to have our cloud environment prepared against any attack, okay? Also, for example, in this time with COVID, a lot of people is working from home. So Teams has been one of the tools that has risen very fast in the use of Teams. And for example, we need to have under control the privilege access against the different teams, the data that we share in Teams and so on. So if we don't have a nice or good role-based access control against Teams and so on, we can share outside of our company some specific data or some valuable data that is not allowed to be shared with everybody. So this is again a new surface of attack that we need to have under control. How companies involves these new environments. For example, companies need to implement new technologies in a secure way, for sure in a fast way, because the cloud give us the opportunity to deploy new solutions, new environments. Sometimes we don't have enough time to secure that new components or that new solutions. So we are evolving in a fast way and sometimes not in a secure way. So we need to implement these new technologies in a secure way. Also, we need to meet and maintain the compliance in these new solutions or in these new technologies. So if we have a new surface, new environments and so on, we need to keep and maintain the compliance in these new environments, okay? Also, for example, we need to avoid the bad headlines in the case if we suffer any attack, the reputation of the company could be suffer a bad headlines. Okay, for example, to appear in the newspapers or in the media, mass media, saying that, hey, this company has suffered an attack. Information from customer has been exposed. Okay, we need to avoid that kind of headlines in news, protecting our environment. Also, we need to mitigate the security threats in the new hybrid environment. For sure, we need to maintain the business continuity, okay? This is the new complexity that we found in the companies. We expand the surface attack area because we have the on-premise environment, we have the cloud environment, but we are, again, the same people working for the IT department. And we need to maintain the business continuity in these two worlds, okay? So for us as technicals, it's more difficult to have everything under control. And also we need to have more knowledge of both worlds, and it's not easy, okay? So what are the common approaches to the cyber resilience? Okay, most of the companies invest in perimeter security. Also, most of them invest in SIEM tools, and some of them rely on native logs or PowerShell. Okay, that are good approaches, not bad, but the risk to go only with these approaches is the following. For example, if you invest only in the perimeter security, for sure it's totally needed to invest in the perimeter security, but you can't let the AD security in behind. I mean, the AD is the core of your Microsoft environment, and maybe in the most of the companies could be a 95% of the companies use Active Directory as their main authentication method for applications, for the company, and so on. So if you don't secure the AD and you suffer an attack in your AD, you are not going to be able to access, for example, to applications, and the business continuity is going to be affected. Okay, so don't invest all your money in the perimeter security. Okay, you need to invest in the perimeter, but also behind to have everything under control, and the AD must be secure. Also, the second point, invest in SIEM solutions. Okay, it's totally necessary to have a CIEM solution in order to gather the logs and keep them for a long time, and also to be able to execute the analysis, reporting about what's going on in your environment. But sometimes the SIEM solutions rely only in native event logs, and these kind of logs are not good enough to do an auditory and to understand what happened in your environment. Okay, because are not easy to understand, to analyze what happened. Okay, also, for example, if you have plenty of different logs from different platforms, it's not easy to, or the knowledge to understand all the different logs, it's not easy. So don't spend all your money in SIEMs that rely only on native logs, okay? Also, these products sometimes drain the budget because they cost a lot of money. Most of them you need to pay for the storage or the quantity of events you store in the solution. So depending on the number of events, you are going to pay more or less money. And also it drains the resource of the company because these solutions are very complex. You need specific people in your team analyzing this kind of logs, very experienced people that they only dedicate their time to explode these solutions, okay? So if we change our mind, we put in the game another solutions that could give better logs to the SIM solution, that's going that's going to be easy to analyze the information, to create different reportings or reports to managers, and it's going to be easy to analyze what's going on. Okay, and also we're going to reduce the amount of information that we are going to store in the SIM solution. Okay, so we will have two advantages. For one side, we're going to reduce the budget. We are not going to spend so much money in a CIM solution because we are not going to store a lot of data or logs. And also with less resources, we are going to be able to execute and analyze the logs because they are going to be more comprehensive and the knowledge is going to be more easy. Okay. And the third solution rely on native logs or PowerShell. Okay, these are free solutions, but they have critical gaps. Okay, it's not easy to extract all the information via PowerShell, or if we rely on native logs, it's not easy to store it for a long time. If we need to do an audit process, maybe a few years ago, to keep those logs, we will need solutions to keep those native logs in some place, the cleaning, the analyzing files is not going to be easy, okay, without specific solutions. So these approaches are good, but we need to have clear the focus and that these solutions, we need another point to cover or to do a best approach to these 3 points, okay? The challenges around security can result in many consequences, okay? For example, to have an excessive and unpredictable cost. This is an example about to acquire CIM solutions or to invest a lot of money only in perimeter solutions and perimeter security. For example, a consequence with the downtime and data loss. If we suffer an attack, our solutions are going to suffer a downtime. For sure, our applications is not working, our business continuity is going to be affected, and maybe we can lose a lot of money because we are not able to work. Our business is not working, okay? Also, the third point, the compliance failures and steep fines. We have seen in the last months a lot of companies that had problems with malware attacks or where their data, customers' data has been exposed in internet. And these companies had some fines, the huge fines. They need to pay a lot of money in the authorities because they don't compliance with some parameters or with some specific laws about how to track, how to have the customer information under control or in a security way, okay? That could cost a lot of money for the company, this kind of fines. And the last point, the reputation damage. Okay, if you need to pay a lot of money for a fine, okay, it's only money, but also if you have a reputation damage because now you are not confident, or people is not confident in you, maybe your business is going to be also affected, okay? Because people maybe doesn't want to do business with you. They don't rely on this company, okay? So keep those points in mind, that sometimes we are not talking about the IT damage for the company. We are talking something else, okay? Something related with the business of the company, and that could have a lot of cost and not only a monetary cost. So how we can strengthen the cyber resilience against these new environments, the hybrid AD or the Office 365 security threats? Okay, we have a life cycle with 4 different pillars. Okay, the first of all is to have a continually access. Okay, the second point is detect and alert. The next phase is going to be remediate and mitigate, and the last one is to investigate and recover. Okay, so with the solutions that Quest propose, we are going to go forward step by step from one point or one phase to the next phase. And the first one is to be able to do a continually assess, an assessment about the security of your environment. For example, to check if we have the right size permissions with a proactive vulnerability assessment and remediation. If we are able to execute some reports and to create an assessment of the security of my environment, we are going to be proactive in order to detect any surface of attack, okay? We are going to be able to prevent any attack. We're going to detect any bad practice that we have in place in our environment. And these proactive actions will avoid future attacks, okay? Because we are reducing the breach or the surface attack. So this is a best practice about how to work in your environment. First of all, to have everything under control and to have knowledge about the security or the exposure of my environment, okay? If we work on that part in a proactive way, we are going to reduce the problems in the future. And also, if we suffer a problem, it's going to be less painful that if we don't work in a proactive way and we work in a reactive way. The reactive way is not a best practice, because the reactive way, we are working when something has happened, okay? And with a proactive approach, we are working to avoid that something happen, okay? Well, next step, when we are pretty sure that our environment is more or less secure, we are able to execute this kind of reports and so on, is to detect and alert anything that happens in my environment, okay? We have set the right permissions, security, and so on, but now we have to track what's going on, what happens, the events that we are creating in an audit way in my environment. So if something happens, because maybe I'm suffering any attack or whatever, I can be able to execute some real-time alerts that could give me the information about, hey, something is happening. You have a problem with a specific account because you are suffering a brute force attack, or maybe you are suffering a lateral movement attack where some people is obtaining higher privileges with a specific account because he's now is member of several groups with privilege in whatever. Okay, I don't mind. But this kind of attacks, this kind of events, if we track them, now we know what happened in my environment. Okay, if we don't have this kind of specific audit solutions, we are not, we are going to be blind. Okay, because maybe my environment is working, we don't have any problem, or not a problem has been raised in my environment, but something is happening. So if we don't have that kind of events or real-time alerts that give me the visibility about what's going on, it's very difficult to revert a specific attack in real time. Okay, so again, we are talking about to be proactive and to have some real-time alerts that could give me the vision of a suspicious activity, for example. Okay, the next step will be to remediate and mitigate. Okay, we have been able to do the security assessment. Next step, we are tracking what happened in my environment. But next step is to remediate and mitigate my exposure. If we remediate, for example, the vulnerabilities and we mitigate the risk of the security exposure, because we work in the paradigm of the less privileged access, we're going to reduce the surface attack. For example, if my administrators or the people whom I delegate the access or the administration of my environment, they don't have real privileges in AD or in Office 365, if their accounts are exposed for a malware attack, no one is going to be able to do something with those accounts because they don't have real privileges in my environment. Okay, I'm reducing, I'm mitigating my exposure, and these guys, for example, are administering my environment without real privileges. Okay, using only specific tools to delegate actions, for example, to reduce the privilege access management. Okay. And the next final point is to investigate what happened if something, or if I finally suffered an attack. That obviously is, I can suffer an attack even with these 3 different points. I mean, the continually assessment, the detect and alert part, and the remediate and mitigation, but we can still suffer an attack. So if something happened, I need to be able to investigate what happened, to do a forensic analysis about that, to understand what happened, and for sure to recover in a fast way. Okay, if I am able to restore my Active Directory totally destroyed by a malware in less than 3 hours, is going to be a success. Okay, so keep that in mind. Even if we put all the different solutions and finally we suffer an attack, we need to be able to restore our environment in a fast way. This is the most important part of the resilience concept. Okay, the resilience concept is that okay, I know that I'm going to suffer in any moment. I don't know when I'm going to suffer an attack, but I need to be sure that I'm able, or I will be able to restore without any problem in a painful or an easy way. Okay, with only one button, restore my Active Directory. And how we can convert these concepts in specific solutions. For example, with these solutions I'm presenting in the slide. For the continuous assessment, I'm going to use the tool Enterprise Reporter Suite. that, for example, can consolidate the reporting of the different Microsoft environments in one single view. I can automate and scalable the reporting to the different environments, and I can have on-the-spot remediation, okay? Next step, to detect and alert, I'm going to use Change Auditor, on-demand audit, and Entrust. Change Auditor and on-demand audit are audit solutions, which the difference is if we want an on-premise solution or a software as a service solution. Change Auditor is going to be the on-premise solution, and on-demand audit is a software as a service solution, okay? These solutions create a complete audit and change prevention, also real-time alerts and response actions. Entrust is my CM, okay? This solution, the CIM solution, gives me the opportunity to store the logs in a for a long term in an easy way, okay? It allows me to scalable the solution for do a even log compression very in an easy way, and also I can integrate it with other CIM solutions that you could have in place, okay? And I will explain later how we can combine both solutions, Entrust with another CIM solution in the market. It could help me to save a lot of money and don't spend that money in the SIM solution, okay? The solutions around the remediation and mitigation could be active roles, safeguard, GPO admin, and on-demand group management. These different solutions are focused in how to delegate with the less privilege concept. Also, for example, how to track with a privileged access management solution. With GPO admin, I'm using a specific solution to how to delegate, create workflows, the security around the GPOs in my environment, okay? And on-demand group management is a solution to delegate the management of the groups in the final owners instead of the IT department, okay? If you are the owner of a group, you are going to be able to manage the members, to add new members, delete ones, modify, change everything around the group that you are the owner, okay? And last point about the investigate and recover, we have IT security search that could be a Google-like search and forensic investigation tool, very easy, that cross the information of the different solutions I have been speaking. Also, we have Recovery Manager for AD, is the most powerful tool to restore our Active Directory even if we have a granular problem, maybe in the attribute of a user, or if we have or we are suffering a malware attack where all my domain controllers are not going to be available. Okay, we don't care about the problem. If it's something granular or it's a total crisis where my AD is not running, up and running, we're going to be able to recover everything with one click. Okay, and also we have on-demand recovery that is focused in restore Azure AD and also Teams. Okay, we are recovering Teams and also Azure AD more in more ways than the recycle bin, the native recycle bin could give us. Okay, in Office 365 or in Azure AD. So let's check in a deeply way each of these different tools, okay? For the continually access, as I told you, have Enterprise Reporter Suite. This solution will consolidate the security and the compliance reporting across the entire network, okay? Discover, for example, who has access to what files, folders, and shares, and on what servers, okay? And also, for example, we can remediate permissions directly between the reports, okay? If we execute a report, we can check the results obtained in the report, and we can remediate the permissions directly. With one click in a specific URL, we are going to open a window of my tool, and we can change the security if needed, okay? So it's very easy to modify and to have everything secure in a central or with a central solution, okay? Enterprise Reporter, if we check the different features of the product, for example, we can do a pre-migration analysis in the case, for example, if you're in the middle of a migration or in a merge or acquisition process, okay, we can do the storage analysis, we can do a security assessment, we can do the remediation, as I told you, with Security Explorer, that is another component. We have a configuration visibility of the different environments that we find in the screenshot. We can cover Azure AD, Active Directory, Exchange, Office 365, OneDrive for Business, Windows Server, SQL Server, files, everything related with NAS and SANs. I refer with everything about the storage analysis. I mean, what kind of documents have in my are stored in the folders, or for example, the security, the NTFS security, okay? So we can cover all these environments from a single panel glass that is view that is promoted or done by Enterprise Reporter, okay? In the step of detect and alert, we have change auditors. And if we compare Quest with the native auditing, there are some steps that we can give you the native lacks of it, okay? For example, alert on suspicious events, regardless of whether they occur on-prem or cloud, okay? With the same solution, we can cover the hybrid environment. So we don't need to use one tool for the on-prem environment and another tool for the cloud part, okay? We can use the same solution for both environments. For example, we don't cut through raw data and see only what is important for the change and activity. We can do flexible search on any event or any field, including, for example, by actor, change attributes, activity details, or cloud-only objects. Okay, we have plenty of different attributes where we can filter on. And the native audits, for example, only filters by specific attributes. Okay. Sometimes it's not easy to create the nice report when we are doing a forensic analysis, okay? Also, for example, we can normalize the view of all user activity in prem and in the cloud. Also, we can keep audit data for up 10 years to satisfy internal policies and external compliance regulations if needed, okay? For example, there are companies that they need to keep the data for 10 years, and we can do that with Quest, okay? You can store that with our solutions without any problem. The overview of Change Auditor. Okay, Change Auditor is a solution that we install in on-prem environment, okay? Change Auditor can cover the following features. For example, the security forensics. We can have actual proactive alerts. We have the possibility to create some protection over objects of Active Directory, Exchange mailboxes, and also Windows file servers. We are introducing a new layer of security on top of the NTFS permissions. Okay, so even if you have permissions to modify the membership of a group because you have permissions, if I block that permissions with the agent, you are not going to be able to do or to change the membership of the group. Okay. We're going to have also a normalized audit view with the same attributes or the same fields dependently of the environment I'm obtaining the information. If it's Active Directory, Exchange, or Windows file server, I don't care. We have a normalized audit view with the same fields and the same kind of information. Also, we have compliance reports. For sure, we have real-time audits. I mean, if something happens, we create a specific event, and that event is moved in real time to the database, and then we can track it with only a few seconds of delay. Okay. The environments that or different modules that works with Change Auditor are Active Directory, AD queries in order to understand all the LDAP connections done against the domain controllers. Also, we can track the logon activity, what happens with my Windows servers around the services, registry, local users and groups, Windows and folders, files and folders, sorry. We can track what's happened with NetApp, Dell, EMC, NASes, also with VMware, SQL servers, Skype for Business, SharePoint, Exchange. And what we can do also, if we spread with on-demand audit, that is a software as a service solution, we can track the information from Azure AD and with Office 365, including Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, and Teams. Okay, all those environments are going to be stored in the same product, and we're going to use the same panel to analyze all these different environments. Okay, so what I want to say when we talk about the normalized audit view. Okay, despite of the kind of event we have done or we have created with Change Auditor, I don't care if it's something related with Exchange, Active Directory, or an AS server. We're going to have the we're going to use a normalized format, okay, showing the 5 double views that are needed in any forensic analysis. These questions are the following: who made the change? Where was the change made from? The workstations where the change originated from? When was the change made? And what object was changed with the values of previous the change and after the change? Okay, so those fields are totally necessary for any forensic analysis with high quality. Okay, if you want to have a nice report and you want to be able to answer any query about, hey, what happened in my environment 1 month ago, you are going to be able to give the answers about, hey, this happened because this user did something in, for example, in this folder, he did the change this date, he created the attack from this workstation, the surface area where, or the attack were done in this specific server. Okay, so that's totally necessary. Also, the on-demand audit hybrid suite, as I told you, is a software as a service solution that gather information from Azure Active Directory, Exchange Online, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint Online, and OneDrive for Business. Okay, it's the same option or the same concept we have with Change Auditor. And also we can integrate Change Auditor, the solution, the on-prem solution, if you have it. Okay, and we are going to upload the events from Change Auditor to on-demand audit in order to store them in the cloud. Okay, so you are going to have a modern search user interface. Everything is going to be in Azure. It's a software as a service that it runs in Azure, and all the information is going to be stored in Azure. Okay, you don't need to care about this storage because we retain all the information, and it depends of how many years the rotation do you have. We have the options of 3 years, 7 years, or 10 years. Okay, so depending of what do you want in the contract, we can store the information for 3 years, 7, or 10. And we don't have any cost about the amount of stored data. We license only for enabled users in the Azure AD that you have in your environment, okay? But we don't care if you store 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, or whatever, okay? That's our problem, not your problem. So the storage right now is not going to be a headache, and you don't need to be worried if you create a lot of events in your AD or in your Azure AD, because that's free for you, the quantity of data, I mean, okay? Also, we have Intrust. Intrust is a solution, as I told you, it's a CIM solution. So we can do the log collection, a compression and rotation. We can have alerts and response actions. We can tamper-proof logs in order that confirm that something has not been changed when the data has been stored in Trust. We can do security forensic analysis. We have compliance reports. We can integrate with other CIM solutions. For example, we can track the user session monitoring in workstations, okay? So there are several companies that use Intrust with other SIM solutions like Splunk, QU Radar, ArcSight, or whatever, because again, we don't license for the number of events stored, okay? We license only for enabled users in the AD, the enabled users account in the AD. So several companies using Trust to store all the data from workstations, servers, different environments. They store in a great compression ratio. For example, you can see the ratio from 20 to 1. Also, we store that in a storage structure, not in a database, in a folder structure, I mean, so we can reduce the storage cost savings, and also we can reduce the number of events stored by the solution. Also, as we can integrate with another CM solutions, we can forward the events that we want, only the necessary ones, to maybe a Splunk or Q Radar, okay? So you are going to store only the needed events in those solutions, but the rest of events, for white noise or events that we create a lot of events per second, are going to be stored in Trust, okay? And you don't need to be worried about this number or this high number of events created by your environment, okay? Well, you can see most about the Change Auditor or different white papers we have. You can click in these links, okay? Next step, remediation and mitigation. We have a solution as active roles, that we work with the less privileged permissions in place. Okay, it's our philosophy to reduce the privilege of the administrators. If we can reduce the privilege done in the final environment, the users, the accounts, they are not going to have rights or permissions in your environment. So if any account is compromised by a malware attack, nothing is going to happen in your environment because no one is going to create any problem because the accounts, the administrator accounts, don't have permissions, real permissions in your ID. Okay, so it's a nice solution in order to reduce privileges, in order to delegate in an easy way a lot of different templates. Okay, and also we are reducing the exposure and the surface attack of my environment. Okay, how we can manage my hybrid AD? Okay, we can different profiles, and instead of using the native tools or create manual processes, we can use active roles to create, modify, terminate all the different points you can see below. For example, distribution list, mailboxes, user accounts, group membership, to do a lot of things under computer, servers, shares, applications, and so on. And we can automate a lot of actions. We can delegate or do a lot of complex delegations that sometimes doing that in a native way, it's not easy. We are reducing, as I told you, the exposure, okay? So instead that the administrators attack directly those environments, we put active roles in the middle, okay, and users attack active roles or use active roles to create, modify, and terminate the different actions from those environments: Active Directory like Directory Services, or Azure AD. Okay, and for examples, we can create a lot of approvals, workflows to audit and track what's going on, and well, it's a great delegation tool. For example, also, if we have problems with a GPU admin, we are moving to Windows Server 2019. If you, maybe you know that GPU admin Advanced is not going to support Windows Server 2019 anymore. So you can use GPU admin in order to create a delegation of the administration of the GPOs, to automate a lot of manual and time-consuming management tasks to ensure the regulatory compliance with advanced GPO auditing and tracking, enhance internal change control processes, enjoy peace of mind when deploying GPO changes, and integrates and extends native tools. Okay. The features of GPO admin could be, for example, to protect settings. Don't allow, for example, some users to modify some settings in GPO admins. We can delegate the objects. We can do check-in, check-outs in order to don't modify the same GPO admin from different points or from different domain controllers, or at the same time from different administrators. We can set some approval workflows, resultant set of policy testing, scheduled deployment, version comparison, GPO locking, and for sure rollback. Okay, because we are going to track the different versions, and if we modify any setting, we create a new version, and we can do a rollback in a fast way. And also group management, as I told you, is to delegate the management of the groups in the owners, okay? So if you are the owner of the group, you are going to be able to manage the members, to add new ones, delete all the ones. We don't care about the boundaries. If we are talking about the Azure Active Directory users, we are or groups, or we are going to talk about the security Active Directory groups or Microsoft 365 groups, no problem at all, okay? And the last point is investigate and recover. We have the solution IT Security Search. IT Security Search, as I told you, is like a Google search solution where we can do a search of what happened in my environment and cross the information from the different solutions I have exposed, like Enterprise Reporter, Change Auditor, Trust, Active Roles, and Recovery Manager. And in introducing only some words, for example, the name of the user, a path or whatever, the tool is going to search in the question solutions and is going to present the different information that is related with that search, okay? But we don't need to create any specific search or a specific query, okay? No, it's very easy. We only need to introduce the words we are searching for, okay? This tool is for free, okay? It doesn't have any cost, so you can use IT Security Search, and it makes sense to use it when you have more than one Quest solution in place in your environment, okay? And I want to talk about Recovery Manager for AD. Recovery Manager for AD is the most well-known solution that we have in our portfolio. It's a restore standard of the Active Directory. If you talk with Microsoft or any company, most of the biggest company worldwide, they use Recovery Manager to secure their Active Directory, okay? So we have restore Recovery Manager for AD that could help us to restore objects or attributes in a fast way. We can restore only a specific attribute from a specific object, okay? It's not necessary to restore the whole object. And we have also comparison reports in order to check what I had in my backup, what I have in the production environment, and compare the differences, okay? And the restore process is very fast. In 3 minutes, you are going to be able to, for example, recover 40 or 300 objects from your AD that could have been deleted or maybe modified, okay? Keep in mind that the recycle bin, for example, restore only deleted objects, but only groups, users, and computers, but not the rest of the objects of your Active Directory. And for sure, the recycle bin is not going to restore from any change done in your environment, okay? Only the deleted events or objects, sorry. We have also the Forest edition that could help us to restore if we have a problem in my Active Directory database. For example, if we have a corruption or if we increase the functional level, or if we change the structure of the database, we can do a rollback with only one click, okay? The natural process is very complex. We have a guide to restore the forest in case that we need to do that. Yeah, and it's a very manual process, very complex, that we need to do in all the domain controllers of the company, and it could take a long time. Maybe to restore from a crash of the database, the Active Directory database, it could take sometimes a week in a lot of companies, or maybe more than a week, okay? And we are talking about to restore the process in only 2 hours or less than 2 hours, okay? With one click. So the manual process is not necessary, it's everything automated. And the exposure of a problem during the manual restoration is also not allowed because everything is automated by the tool. The last one, we have the disaster recovery edition that obviously include the other products, the prior versions, but this one also could help you to restore from a malware that could done that your domain controllers are not available, okay, because the operative system is not working because of a ransomware or a malware, and you need to restore from a bare metal backup, okay? Now with Disaster Recovery Edition, we can restore, we can introduce the bare metal restoration in the same tool, and we can restore the Active Directory from the scratch in a new environment, new servers, or maybe restoring in the same domain controllers that we already have in place. I don't care. Now we have the option to do different restore scenarios, okay? Everything is automated, and even we can create new domain controllers in the cloud in order to have everything up and running. The problem for the company, at least in the Active Directory, the downtime will be minimum, okay? So we can restore in a very in a fast way, have everything up and running in less than 2 hours again. And I don't care if we are talking if we suffer a malware attack, if we suffer corruption of my database, or if I have a problem, granular problem, for example, deleting the membership of the different groups of my Active Directory. We can restore from everything with Restore Recovery Manager for Active Directory, okay? The most powerful tool or recovery tool in the market around the Active Directory. And also we have the same option with the hybrid environment. If we want to restore Azure AD, we have on-demand recovery, that is a software as a service solution. And both products, on-demand recovery and recovery manager for AD, they talk together. With only one click, you can restore information in your on-prem environment and also in your cloud environment, okay? With the same features, the same concept, we are attacking, or we are covering both worlds, the on-premise and the cloud one. So say and expose all these solutions, concepts about how to secure your hybrid environment. We have the Q&A, the question and answers part. So I will be happy to assist you around any questions you could have for this presentation.
Okay. Thank you, César, for your presentation. Se alguém tiver agora aqui alguma dúvida, pode colocar pelo chat, pode fazer em mute e falar e colocar a falar. Por isso, se alguém tiver alguma questão sobre a apresentação, sobre o produto, é agora a oportunidade. Okay, César, I don't think we have any questions. Yeah. I think your presentation was very clear.
Has been clear, very clear.
Yeah, yes,
That's good.
So
well,
no
I want to say only thank you for attending this web seminar. I hope I could give you some good points about how to secure your environment. And as you said, if they have any question, please reach me without any problem, and I will be glad to assist you. Okay.
Okay.